Okay, I think the screen is recording now. And welcome everybody. This is our, what day is it? July 24th. Time for a little update of the markets and some stuff that we could see coming into the afternoon. So, as always, make any comments you like, ask any questions. Happy to talk about, answer, go over anything you guys are looking at in particular. And once again, welcome to those that are visiting and first timers and old timers and all that stuff. Excuse me, good grief. So just a quick little look at things. Real quick here, we have had quite the day in the market. The U.S. markets have been getting smashed. We're just about an hour from the close, and you can see that everything's down a good little chunk. Dow is down a lot. The S&P is down a good little bit. Gold, for some reasons, not on the bandwagon yet, but it could be shortly. And supposedly oil is tanking, but it's still too high for my taste. So, anyways, that's just a quick look at things. Everything's looking pretty bad as far as that goes, but just another day in the currency markets. Wouldn't expect anything less. And just a little reminder, as far as what we have today in this week, as far as news goes, it's all pretty sparse. We don't have a lot of news. You can see that there's the CPI out of Australia, and that's like 6 hours from now, so that one's going to be a little while. But as far as the rest of this week goes, it's a pretty quiet week. We do have a couple of things happening on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday, one big announcement, and then we're probably going to end things pretty quiet after that. So we've got a couple of things coming up still, but it's been a pretty slow start so far. The first couple of days of the week have been pretty quiet and pretty slow, but the markets are kind of starting to pick up a little bit. And our new schedule that we have incorporated today, which is getting started at 4 a.m. Pacific, has actually worked out pretty well. It's we've seen some good movements. Things were pretty slow this morning until just recently when we started to see some breakouts happening. But liking the schedule, we'll finish the rest of the week up with that schedule starting 4 a.m. Pacific, which is 12 noon UK time, and then we'll just kind of see how things go from there. And judge the results and so on. But for the most part, we've had some nice little setups. The euro, the thing that I wanted to wait for, I put this in the UK notes last night, remember, which was an open above 121.30, and we never got it. The market did test it a couple more times. We never got an open above this level, and so no trade in there, nothing to get into. And then the thing we were waiting for today was kind of to break out of this range. Basically, since the market opened, a gap down, and then it's just been bouncing around in this range the entire time. So finally, we got a little bit of a break of the range. Our next viable target on the euro dollar is going to be 120 even. 120, 120.10, somewhere right in there. But we're taking this thing down to the zeros. So the question that we have is where's going to be a good entry? First things first, this should be a nice little resistance here, about 120.75. 120.80 right in that general area should be a nice little resistance to get some retracement and look for an entry on that pair. So that's going to be one thing I'll be keeping an eye on. If we do break above about the 120.80, we could be headed back into that range. So just kind of keep an eye. Just remember that. Really, I guess the candle bodies would be the thing that we want to look for a little bit more here. I saw some candle body testing there and a little bit of a failed test here. So this 120.80 is going to be a little bit of a tell-all. I do like getting into some bounces off of that and using it as resistance. But if it does break back up above, then things could get back into this channel. So just keep an eye on that. The entry on this euro dollar that I like, at least for the moment, is going to be, probably a very short term entry. Something like this. This is the 5-minute chart. If this thing continues to kind of consolidate up and make its way up into that resistance, then watch this trend line. This is just from the low of today, and the bottom of this starts around 120.42. It looks like 41.42, and as this starts to kind of consolidate its way up into that resistance, watch this trend line for a break. And if we don't get all the way up into that resistance, still watch the trend line for a break, because I think that's going to be a good little spot. But again, above 120.80, chances are pretty good we're going to get back into that range. So just keep an eye on that. And a quick little look here at the channel. We're just right in the middle of this channel, so we have lots of room to go up and lots of room to come down. Remember, we do have a gap here. that does need to be filled at some point and probably will get filled sooner than later. But we, overall you can see lots and lots of space to the upside, about 120 pips or so, and we've got about the same to the downside, about 100 to 120 pips. Again, though, minding that our 120 level is probably going to be the big target and one that I'm not going to try to push too much beyond. So again, for the entry, look at a 5-minute trend line, and then let's keep an eye on this 120.80, a break above, buy, or a nice little bounce will give us an even better opportunity to sell this pair back on down. So that's what I think about the euro dollar. News is looking progressively worse. Germany and the rest of the European Union, the IMF, and so on and so forth have given up on Greece and just said, "C'est la vie, good luck." We'll see how things go. So we'll see if that ends up being a positive thing for the euro, kind of taking some pressure off of the imploding European Union. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But there's been basically throwing in the towel on Greece, and Spain is looking really scary and horrible. So I can't imagine the euro is going to make much of a comeback too soon. Remember, on our daily fib range here, we're still above the 4th, so technically speaking, we have a lot of room to continue down. Lots and lots. So that is that. Any questions? Any questions so far? Anybody want to say anything in particular about the euro? If not, we will scoot right onto this pound dollar here. I really like the pound dollar and this whole range. As soon as we get out of this range, we were looking for, as the 8 o'clock hour when things go a little bit crazy open, we had a little spike, but I'm looking for an open above this daily pivot, which we were unable to get. So breaking out of the top of this range, which is about 155, 30, 40 area right around there, should allow the pair to make a nice little run up. You can see that we're sitting on some semi-decent support. This has been tested all week long. And we had a little break, and then it's kind of lots of consolidation has happened around that 15500 area, and that's where it's sitting. It's just above 15500, and so lots of support right there. And the market's having a hard time breaking that. So above about 155.50. I think is really our best chance to start looking to buy this pair and taking it on the bigger runs up. Otherwise, we make a break of this area right here. And again, we have a couple of options. We can enter kind of at the break of about 154.85, 90, or we can bring it up just a little bit. And you can see that these candle bodies have all kind of failed around the same spot, which is around 154.95. So an open below 154.95 should take the pair nicely down and give us some good momentum to the downside. So just keep an eye on that. That's going to be, again, an open on the 1-hour chart below about 154.95 should be a good little area to look for. And again, above about 155.50 to probably play it safe. Or an open above about 155.40. So we're kind of in that general area. We're looking for some bigger targets and bigger movements and so on. As far as the pound dollar goes on the big range here, it's getting pretty choppy. So we're probably going to come into some pretty strong support down here just above 154.00, about 154.20, 30. So we've got a nice, 60 pip run potential down through that. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that open below and a nice little run. But again, that's going to be crucial. 154.95. Keep an eye on that. And we'll see if these trends can continue. Things can continue moving. Any questions about the pound dollar? Anything anybody wants to bring up, ask about, anything like that? If you have any questions, speak now or speak later. So and I can come back to any of these as well, but let's move on here to some of these others. We have some interesting. The euro yen. The euro yen is very euro yen-y right now, which we have kind of this little weekly and daily low that it's having a hard time with, about the 94.25. Nothing too special. I was looking for some breaks of this little descending trend line and seeing if we can get back up into the top of the channel. You guys remember this from the daily video yesterday, shorting around 9600. We never got close to that. We made some attempts at breaking this area, and then it just kind of has crumbled down since. So still looking for, a little bit of retracement, a little bit of pullback, but otherwise below this level, below this weekly low and the daily low and this support and so on right here at 94.25, there's lots of room to the downside, lots and lots of room actually. If we look at this short-term channel that we have right here, you can see that from where it currently sits, I mean, if it headed straight down, there's 80 pips before we get to the bottom of the channel. So, there's some space. The euro yen is into historic lows. I don't know when it was below this level. I guess all the way back here in about 2000. Excuse me, in about 2000, it got back, or it was at this level. So a little while before we get to major support right there, another 200 pips probably. So we're going to see if this thing's going to give us a bounce or not, and it may or may not. But as far as the trend goes, and once again, we know that Europe is just having a heck of a time, so no major reason to believe that this euro yen is going to do anything other than head down. So I don't have any great levels I'm looking for as far as the upside goes. We can keep an eye on this trend line. If we make a break of this trend line right here, then that'll be something to kind of keep an eye on, and potentially above about 90, 94, 45, 50, somewhere in this general area. You can see that the market has kind of bounced along that and bounced along that. So right around that 94. We'll say 50, right around 94.50, and that puts us right about there, maybe a little tiny bit lower. I'll be looking for a possible buying opportunity on this euro yen. So if this, coming into the UK session breaks above this trend line, that should be a pretty valid level and should give us a pretty nice little move there. Otherwise, we can, there's not really much of an entry right here other than just putting a trade on and letting it run down to the bottom of the channel, which hopefully it can do. But I think, given the time of day and all of that regular stuff, I think we're going to see some retracement on this before we see a break. But keep an eye on this one or on this 94.25 level, because especially if the market pulls back but fails to kind of break above this daily pivot and above that 94.50. Just once again, let's just put that there for reference. So above this guy, there's going to be a buy opportunity, but if it just kind of comes up to it and kind of bumps around that 45, 50-ish area and then starts to head back down again, I would not be so excited about trying to sell off of this trend line as much as just letting it kind of come off the trend line and sell it once again at the break of 94.25. So break of 94.25 is going to be a good little opportunity. If this thing starts to make a run for it right here, I don't think I want to chase it down, but it may be a good entry. It's just kind of sitting here, and it doesn't really give me any super great reason to get into it, other than looking at like a short-term chart and maybe trading like the breakout, which it's kind of working on. That's about the only entry I can really see on the immediate sell for this euro yen. Otherwise, let's look for some retracement into this resistance area here, and then trade it once again at the break of 94.25. So that's that. Not really interested in the pound yen, looking pretty choppy. However, the Aussie dollar is. I wish I could move this thing, but I just can't. I guess we can do that. There we go. There it is. Okay, so the Aussie dollar has had a heck of a time with this 102.50, and now it's breaking 102.50, which is super important because this gives us the opportunity to really start taking this pair down. The reason that this is such a crucial level is this is a big channel. And this 102.40.50 area has been pretty strong support and pretty strong resistance and so on. And now that we've gotten a break of this and the market has kind of gotten through that, you can see this on the daily chart as well. It's coming down to the daily gap, and so that's going to be some pretty good support. But it looks like it's busting out of this channel, and if that is the case, then we have a free fall. Even if this is just a retracement, this little move down is a quick, painless one. That puts us, to get into the kind of the first support is about 100 pips from where it currently sits. So with a little bit of retracement, we should have a very, very nice entry, to get it down into some of these areas here. Like I said, about 100 pips or so away. We have some really good stuff to work for. So what I'm looking at here, I'm going to get those arrows out of the way just to give us a little more better look here. What I'm looking at is and looking for is a little bit more retracement. I want to see if we can get this thing back up to about 102, 40-ish or so, which shouldn't be out of the question, especially with news coming out this afternoon on the Aussie dollar. It shouldn't be too difficult to get us back into about the 40 45 area, get some stops above this 102.50 and short the heck out of this puppy, and take it down towards that 101.50 area. So there should be 100 pips or so, especially if we get some nice retracement, an easy 100 pips on the downside with this Aussie dollar. So we're going to be looking at that for sure. As far as buy opportunities go, if it makes some sort of convincing break of 102.50, maybe, but I don't know if I want to get into any of that just yet. I'm really more looking to kind of continue on with this trend of the week and kind of take these pairs, lower and stronger and so on. And just kind of keep up with the trend. That's what we're looking to do. So that is a possibility. But remember, with this channel, as we're coming into that daily gap, and I think this is the 200, no, this is the 100 moving average, there will be some support there, so there could be some bouncing. So just keep an eye on that. Let's see. Okay, there you go. There you go. Are you talking kind of this range right here, Brian? Going right in that general area. Yeah, let's have a look at that. So if we go right from here to here, yeah, that gives us lots and lots of space. Remember, and thanks for pointing this out, Brian. It's a good point, because remember that when markets start to break past the 23% fib levels, there's a super high probability that it will reach the 38% fib, and there's not nearly as high of a probability of breaking the 38 that it'll reach the 50 and the 50 to the 61. But there's something kind of special, if I dare say, in breaking the 23. So if we do break that 23, that puts us perfectly into that kind of that 10100 area that we were just talking about. So yeah, good point, Brian. Thanks for bringing that up. And yeah, I think we just have a really good trade coming up on this Aussie dollar. But again, I want to see it retrace about 20 pips. See it push up there just a little bit before we look to get into some of that. So we'll keep our eye on that. And then last but not least, Aussie yen. This guy's just kind of, I don't really see a lot of method to the madness here, but it looks like it's just coming back down. We're going to keep an eye on this one. We looked at it a little bit this morning, and it doesn't look super amazing right this moment, but we're going to be keeping our eye on that Aussie and see if we can get some good entries coming up there. And then lastly, gold has just been a huge mess. Gold is looking so directionless. It's just, for weeks, it's been bouncing, and I guess we can probably update this trend line here. It's been bouncing between excuse me, between about 15, 30, 40 and about 1600. It just kind of is bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. So if we eventually get some sort of break here, we might be able to get some decent direction on the currency pairs. So we're going to have a little look at that and keep an eye on those guys. But for the most part, I think our biggest pairs of interest at the moment will be short-term, very short-term. We have euro dollar and euro yen that are looking good for some little short-term trend line breaks and some little movements, nothing major. Pound dollar, a break of this 154.95, and by a break I mean an open on the 1 hour chart below that level, and that should give us a nice opportunity to sell. And then the Aussie dollar getting some retracement and entering short around 102.40.50 area to take this down into the depths of despair, and getting that down 100 pips out of that movement. So it's looking pretty good. I think we've got some great setups, and I'm looking forward to grabbing some of these. So I'll have some more updates coming later today in the chat, and of course in the UK notes we'll have those posted tonight. And then we will start tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Pacific, as we will the rest of the week. So looking forward to that. So thanks for participating, guys. I'm going to stop the video